In the year 356 BCE, in the kingdom of Macedon, a child was born who would later reshape much of the known world. His name was Alexander. History remembers him as Alexander the Great. But who was he really? A visionary leader? A military genius? Or simply a man driven by ambition in a violent age? Alexander was the son of King Philip II of Macedon and Queen Olympias. From a young age, he was prepared for leadership. He was educated by the Greek philosopher Aristotle, who introduced him to philosophy, science, medicine, and literature. These teachings would influence the way he saw the world, not just as territory to conquer, but as cultures to connect. In 336 BCE, when Alexander was only 20 years old, his father Philip II was assassinated. Alexander quickly secured the throne. Revolts broke out in parts of Greece, but he moved decisively to re-establish control. With his kingdom stabilized, Alexander turned to a larger goal, the Persian Empire. At that time, Persia was the most powerful empire in the world, ruled by King Darius III. In 334 BCE, Alexander crossed into Asia Minor with an army of roughly 40,000 men. Over the next several years, he would win major battles, including the battles of Issus and Gaugamela. At Gaugamela in 331 BCE, Alexander's forces defeated Darius III in a decisive encounter that effectively ended Persian dominance. City after city fell under his control. In Egypt, Alexander was welcomed as a liberator from Persian rule. He was declared pharaoh and, according to Egyptian religious tradition, recognized as the son of the god Amun. He later founded the city of Alexandria, which would become one of the most important centers of learning in the ancient world. As his empire expanded, Alexander adopted certain Persian royal customs. Some of his Macedonian officers resented these changes, seeing them as a departure from their traditions. Tensions grew within his inner circle. Historical accounts, particularly from ancient writers such as Arrian and Plutarch, describe an incident in which Alexander killed his close companion Cletus the Black during a drunken argument. The event is often portrayed as a moment of deep regret for him, revealing the pressures and emotional strain of constant warfare and leadership. Alexander continued eastward, pushing into Central Asia and eventually into the Indian subcontinent. In 326 BCE, he fought the Battle of the Hydaspes against King Porus in present-day Pakistan. Though victorious, his army had grown exhausted. At the Hyphasis River, his soldiers refused to march farther east. After years of campaigning, they longed to return home. For the first time in his career, Alexander agreed to turn back. The journey home was difficult. Many soldiers died crossing harsh deserts and unfamiliar terrain. In 323 BCE, at the age of 32, Alexander died in the city of Babylon. The exact cause of his death remains uncertain. Ancient sources describe a fever lasting several days. Modern historians suggest possible illness, such as typhoid or malaria, though no single theory has been proven. What is certain is this: the man who had built one of the largest empires in history died young, without a clear successor. After his death, his empire did not remain united. It was divided among his generals in a series of conflicts known as the Wars of the Diadochi. Over time, his vast territory fragmented into separate kingdoms. Yet his influence endured. Greek language and culture spread across the Middle East and parts of Asia in what became known as the Hellenistic Age. Cities he founded became centers of trade, scholarship, and cultural exchange. Alexander's story is not just about conquest. It is about leadership, ambition, cultural exchange, and the limits of power. From an Islamic perspective, history also reminds us of a timeless truth. As stated in the Quran, in Surah Ali Imran, verse 185, every soul shall taste death, no matter how powerful the ruler, no matter how vast the empire, no matter how celebrated the name. Alexander conquered lands stretching across continents, but like every human being, he faced mortality. His life raises an enduring question: what is true greatness? Is it measured by territory and military victories, or by the legacy of knowledge, justice, and lasting impact? History remembers Alexander as the Great, but each generation must decide what greatness truly means. This is only the beginning. In the next episodes, we will explore more figures who shaped the world, from ancient emperors to modern rulers, and examine what their rise and fall can teach us today. Subscribe and continue the journey through history.